They say time waits for no one. But what if, for once, it could? What if longevity wasn't about escaping death, but mastering life, stretching each heartbeat until it feels infinite? We live in an age obsessed with speed, fast food, fast results, fast dreams. Yet, amidst this rush, we've forgotten the oldest art known to humankind, the art of living long and living well. The science and art of longevity isn't a promise of immortality. It's a story about how to stay alive while you're still breathing. Imagine a painter with the brush of biology and the canvas of time. Every choice we make, the food we eat, the thoughts we think, the love we give, and the rest we deny, becomes a stroke on that canvas. The question isn't how long will it last, but what will it become? This story begins not in a laboratory, but in a village on a mountain where people routinely live beyond 100. No miracle drugs, no youth elixirs, just lives of meaning, motion, and connection. Yet science has begun to decode their secret. The length of our lives may be written in our genes, but its beauty is painted by our choices. We are not passive passengers on the river of time. We are its architects. Every breath we take rewrites our biological script. Every night of sleep, every walk in the sun, every honest laugh adds or subtracts invisible days from our lives. Longevity, as this book unfolds, is both a science and an art. Science, because it is measurable, studied, and proven in cells, hormones, and telomeres. Art, because it's practiced through emotion, compassion, purpose, and discipline, the things no microscope can measure. In the early 20th century, people dreamed of living past 50. Today, we speak casually of 90 and 100, and yet most of us are exhausted by 40. Longevity is not about counting years. It's about creating years worth counting. When F. Scott Fitzgerald wrote The Great Gatsby, he spoke of the green light, the eternal hope just out of reach. Longevity has its own green light. The human longing to stretch the boundaries of existence and grasp, meaning beyond time itself. But here's the truth: the secret of longevity isn't found in laboratories or billion-dollar research centers. It's hidden in habits, kindness, curiosity, and calm. The science and art of longevity invites you to travel across both worlds. The scientific, where biologists unlock the power of genes, mitochondria, and cellular repair, and the philosophical, where monks, poets, and ordinary people reveal the emotional blueprints of a long and peaceful life. Because to live long, you must live lightly. To remain young, you must never stop learning. And to stay alive, you must never stop loving. This is not just a book about life extension. It's a compass for anyone who refuses to live on autopilot. It's for the dreamers who want to walk slower, feel deeper, and live wider. It's for the ones who believe that longevity isn't measured in years, but in moments that matter. So pause. The sound of waves fades in. Somewhere in Okinawa, a woman in her 90s starts her day with tea, laughter, and gardening. In Sardinia, an old man still walks uphill to see the horizon every evening. In California, a scientist looks through a microscope, searching for the code that holds back aging. And somewhere in you, in all of us, there is a cell that remembers how to heal, renew, and grow young again. This is where science meets spirit, where molecules meet mindfulness, where numbers meet narratives, because the story of longevity is not a race against death. It's a dance with life. So sit back, slow down. Let's step together into the story that every human shares. The quest not just to survive longer, but to live deeper. The Science and Art of Longevity was written by Dr. Victoria Voss, a biogerontologist who spent 2 decades studying how human cells age, and more importantly, how they can heal. Yet her work didn't begin in a lab, it began in grief. After losing her father to heart failure at 61, she devoted her life to finding not just ways to live longer, but ways to live better. Traveling across continents, she combined the precision of science with the wisdom of ancient cultures, crafting a philosophy where biology meets meaning. Her book became a revelation. Instead of promising immortality, it taught readers how to slow time through purpose, peace, and cellular care. Dr. Voss argued that longevity isn't only about genes or medicine. It's about emotion, connection, and consistency. She drew insights from blue zones, neuroscience, and behavioral psychology, showing how daily habits reshape our biological age. What made her writing extraordinary was its humanity. She didn't speak like a scientist locked in data. She spoke like a storyteller who understood the fragility of time. Every page of The Science and Art of Longevity feels like a conversation between your heart and your DNA, A reminder that the secret to a long life isn't hidden in the future. It's written in the choices you make today. In The Science and Art of Longevity, Dr. Victoria Voss introduces a cast of characters who each represent a pillar of lasting life. First is Eiko, a centenarian from Okinawa whose secret isn't medicine but ikigai, the quiet purpose that wakes her before dawn. She teaches that meaning, not muscle, sustains longevity. Then comes Dr. Malik, a neuroscientist who once believed aging was purely genetic until he discovered that thoughts can rewire biology. His research proves that optimism doesn't just heal the mind, it lengthens the life of cells. Lucia, a Sardinian shepherd's daughter, embodies movement and simplicity. She walks 10 miles daily, eats from her garden, and believes that laughter is nature's vitamin. Finally, there's Victoria Voss herself, the scientist, storyteller who binds their lives together, revealing how science and soul are two sides of the same clock. Through their stories, she shows that longevity is not a privilege of the few. It's a choice we practice every day in how we live, love, and rest. Longevity is not a number, it's a rhythm, a harmony between body, mind, and purpose. In The Science and Art of Longevity, Dr. Victoria Voss unveils a truth that reshapes everything we believe about aging. The human body is designed not to decay, but to renew itself. If only we learn to listen to its language. She begins with the science of cellular time. Every second, our cells divide, repair, and communicate through microscopic signals. Deep within them lie telomeres, the tiny caps on our chromosomes that shorten as we age. For decades, scientists believed their shortening was inevitable, like the burning of a candle. But Dr. Voss presents evidence that lifestyle, mindset, and environment can slow, even partially reverse that process. Meditation, sleep, nutrient balance, and emotional stability act as silent engineers, protecting the ends of our DNA. But she doesn't stop at biology. Longevity, she writes, is also an art, the daily choreography of choices that shape our internal weather. A calm mind lowers inflammation, gratitude reshapes the brain's chemistry, and consistent routines anchor the body's clock. It is not one grand secret, but 1,000 small, deliberate acts. According to Voss, the greatest threat to longevity isn't disease, it's disconnection. Modern life teaches us to chase progress at the cost of peace. We eat faster, think harder, and rest less until our bodies forget how to recover. Longevity, she argues, begins when we reclaim slowness, when we remember that silence heals faster than speed, and that joy is a biological necessity, not a luxury. She weaves research with humanity, proving that extending life isn't about resisting time, but befriending it. The longest lived people are not those who fear death, but those who celebrate living. They don't try to outsmart time, they learn to move with it, gracefully and gratefully. Dr. Victoria Voss describes longevity as a triad, a balance between biology, behavior, and belief. Biology defines our potential, behavior shapes our path, and belief fuels the will to continue. Each works like a string in a symphony. Alone they hum faintly, but together they compose a masterpiece of endurance. She begins with biology, the body's science of survival. Every heartbeat, every breath, every repair inside us is governed by mitochondria, the energy factories of our cells. When they weaken, fatigue and aging follow. Yet, through movement, sunlight, and mindful breathing, their spark returns. Exercise, she writes, is not punishment. It is a biological declaration of life. Then comes behavior, the choices that decide whether our biology thrives or declines. Dr. Voss shares a study revealing that those who maintain small, positive rituals, morning walks, mindful meals, gratitude journaling, live significantly longer. Consistency, not complexity, is the architecture of longevity. Finally, she reaches belief, the most underestimated force of all. People who believe in purpose, faith, or service produce fewer stress hormones and live longer lives. The mind, she says, does not just reflect the body, it instructs it. A hopeful thought is a biological signal that whispers, keep going. In her most quoted line, she writes, longevity is not the art of avoiding death, it is the practice of honoring life. Through every chapter, she reminds us that science may explain how we live long, but art teaches us why we should want to. Dr. Voss takes us next into the landscapes where longevity thrives, the blue zones scattered across the planet, where the average lifespan stretches beyond a century. She describes Sardinia, Okinawa, Nicoya Icaria, and Loma Linda not as miracles of geography, but as reflections of harmony. In each of these places, people rise with purpose, eat with awareness, and end their days in community. Longevity here is not engineered, it is lived. She highlights that every region shares 5 invisible threads: connection, movement, plant-based nourishment, rest, and purpose. People there walk instead of rush, garden instead of isolate, and laugh instead of compete. The human bond, she notes, is more powerful than any medicine. A shared meal, she writes, releases more healing chemicals than a bottle of pills. But what fascinates her most is their relationship with time. In these regions, no one fights the clock, they flow with it. Work blends with play, and age brings honor, not fear. They treat each sunrise as an invitation, not an obligation. Through her observations, Voss concludes that longevity begins in the mind and matures through rhythm. A body nourished by calm, a heart softened by kindness, and a soul anchored in purpose. These are not luxuries, they are survival strategies. Longevity, she reminds us, is not a formula to memorize, it's a melody to be lived, slowly, consciously, beautifully. In this section, Dr. Voss explores the psychology of aging, revealing that the mind ages long before the body does, if we let it. She writes that most people don't grow old because their cells weaken, they grow old because their curiosity fades. The neurons that fire when we learn something new are the same ones that keep our brain young. Learning, she insists, is a biological anti-aging tool. She introduces the idea of mental elasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself at any age. Studies show that those who continue to challenge their thoughts, adapt to change, and find joy in novelty live longer and remain sharper. Whether it's mastering a language, painting, or simply asking questions, curiosity slows the brain's decline. Yet, mental longevity cannot exist without emotional balance. Chronic stress, she explains, is one of the most destructive forces in the human system. It shrinks telomeres, inflames tissues, and weakens immunity. Peace, then, is not a luxury, it's biology's best defense. Through meditation, nature, prayer, or solitude, people restore their internal rhythm, giving their cells room to breathe. Dr. Voss writes, "We age faster when we live in constant resistance. The more we fight reality, the more energy our body wastes in defense." Acceptance, she suggests, is the beginning of longevity. It calms the nervous system and teaches the heart to flow with time, not against it. Ultimately, she ties the science back to a profound truth. A youthful body begins with a peaceful mind. To grow old gracefully is not to lose time, it is to understand it. Dr. Voss then turns her focus to nutrition and internal chemistry, describing food as the dialogue between nature and our cells. She argues that longevity is not about strict diets or denial, but about harmony, fueling the body with what it recognizes as real. Whole foods, unprocessed ingredients, and balance between color and texture are her golden rules. Every plate, she says, should tell the story of the earth: grains for grounding, greens for renewal, and fruits for joy. She dismantles the myth of perfection, explaining that longevity thrives on consistency, not control. It's not what you eat once a week that shapes your life, she writes, but what you eat every day without thinking. In blue zones, meals are rituals, not chores. People eat slowly, in company, and with gratitude, transforming nourishment into meditation. Dr. Voss also explores the microbiome, calling it the hidden conductor of youth. The bacteria in our gut, she reveals, influence everything from mood to immunity. A diverse, plant-rich diet keeps this ecosystem alive, while processed foods silence it. When the gut thrives, the body follows. She closes the chapter with a quiet reminder: every bite is a vote, for or against your future. Food, she concludes, is not merely sustenance, but a sacred conversation with time itself. By eating with awareness and gratitude, we don't just feed our bodies, we feed our days, ensuring that each one lasts a little longer and feels infinitely fuller. Dr. Voss then moves into one of the most profound dimensions of her work: movement as medicine. She writes that our bodies are designed not merely to exist, but to flow. In her words, every joint is a reminder that we were meant to move, every muscle, a memory of freedom. The tragedy of modern life, she observes, is that we've mistaken comfort for care. We sit for hours, stare at screens, and call it rest, yet still wonder why the body forgets how to heal. She explains that even gentle motion, walking, stretching, dancing, ignites the mitochondria, boosts brain chemicals, and slows cellular decay. Movement, she insists, is not an act of fitness but of gratitude. When you move, she writes, you remind your body that it's alive. She highlights studies showing that consistent daily motion, even without intensity, reduces the risk of heart disease, depression, and cognitive decline more effectively than most modern drugs. Yet, her most powerful insight is poetic longevity doesn't belong to those who run fast, but to those who keep moving slowly and faithfully every day. She calls this rhythm the sacred choreography of life. Whether through walking to the market, gardening, or climbing stairs, the secret is not in miles or minutes, but in motion with meaning. Her closing thought in this section is unforgettable. Stillness is beautiful for the mind, but fatal for the body. Move, not because you must, but because you can, and one day, because you still can. Dr. Voss then explores one of the least understood, yet most transformative aspects of longevity, the power of relationships. She writes that human beings are not designed for isolation. We are wired for connection. The body, she notes, reads loneliness as danger. Chronic isolation triggers the same biological responses as starvation or injury. Elevated stress hormones, inflammation, and weakened immunity. In contrast, meaningful relationships act as a biological shield, lowering blood pressure, calming the nervous system, and strengthening resilience. Her research reveals that people who maintain deep emotional bonds, family, friendships, community, live significantly longer than those who don't, even when lifestyle factors differ. In every long-lived society, social ties are the invisible medicine. Shared meals, communal work, laughter, and rituals form what she calls emotional nutrition. But she goes further, describing empathy as a longevity tool. When you care for others, she writes, your body releases chemicals of healing, oxytocin, serotonin, endorphins, molecules that tell your cells you are safe. The act of giving, it seems, protects the giver as much as the receiver. She reminds readers that in a world obsessed with productivity, one of the greatest investments in health is presence, listening without distraction, helping without agenda, loving without expectation. Her words linger. A long life without love is just extended time. But a life filled with love, no matter its length, becomes timeless. Dr. Voss then turns toward the science of purpose, a recurring theme in her research on long-lived individuals. She notes that people who wake up with a sense of meaning, no matter how simple, tend to live longer and remain mentally sharper. In Japan's Okinawa, she found elders who, even at age 100, rise each morning with a reason, tending a garden, mentoring children, or practicing traditional crafts. This kigai, or reason for being, keeps their biology youthful and their minds engaged. Through neuroscience and psychology, she explains how purpose alters the brain's architecture. It strengthens neural connections, reduces the risk of depression, and even slows cellular aging by lowering inflammation and improving gene expression. Your body, she writes, listens to your beliefs. If your story is still unfolding, your cells keep preparing for tomorrow. She also challenges modern culture's narrow view of success. In her words, would chase years as if they were trophies. But longevity is not the art of adding days. It's the skill of making days matter. She encourages readers to find purpose not in grand achievements, but in contribution. The quiet acts that create ripples of meaning. In her closing lines of this section, Dr. Voss offers a profound truth. The science of longevity begins with biology, but its art begins with belonging and purpose. A body thrives when a soul feels useful. Dr. Voss then explores resilience and mindset, revealing how mental strength directly influences cellular health. She emphasizes that people who face adversity with adaptability rather than resistance live longer and recover faster. Stress, she explains, accelerates aging by shortening telomeres and increasing inflammation, but resilience acts as a biological shield, buffering the body against damage. She introduces the concept of psychobiological harmony, the alignment of mind, emotion, and body. Those who cultivate optimism, gratitude, and acceptance trigger gene expressions that slow aging. Daily reflections, journaling, and mindful breathing, she writes, are not just calming exercises, they are cellular maintenance tools, silently repairing tissues and balancing hormones. Dr. Voss also stresses the importance of purposeful challenges. Learning new skills, embracing change, and stepping outside comfort zones stimulate neurogenesis and promote longevity. Growth, she writes, is the signal your cells wait for, proof that life is still worth sustaining. Her key insight: longevity is not just a physical journey, but an emotional and cognitive one. Those who nurture hope face life's storms gracefully, and see setbacks as lessons maintain the body's youth as surely as any diet or exercise plan. Dr. Voss highlights sleep and recovery as the invisible architects of longevity. She explains that the body repairs itself most efficiently during deep sleep. Cells regenerate, hormones balance, and the brain clears toxic proteins that accelerate aging. Chronic sleep deprivation, she warns, is equivalent to slow self-poisoning, impairing memory, immunity, and cellular repair. She emphasizes the importance of circadian rhythm, the body's internal clock that governs everything from metabolism to mood. Aligning daily routines with natural light, eating schedules, and rest cycles is more than tradition. It's biology in action. Even small adjustments, like morning sunlight exposure or consistent bedtime rituals, dramatically influence lifespan. Beyond mere hours of sleep, Dr. Voss introduces the concept of restful living, short pauses, mindful breaks, and deliberate slowing of pace. These acts reduce stress hormones, lower inflammation, and allow the body to consolidate energy for healing. Longevity, she writes, is as much about the quality of rest as the quantity of years. Her final lesson in this section: time heals when it is honored. Sleep, rest, and rhythm are not indulgences. They are declarations that life is worth sustaining day after day. Dr. Voss then examines stress and emotional health as central determinants of longevity. She explains that chronic stress accelerates aging by releasing cortisol, inflaming tissues, and impairing immunity. In contrast, managing stress through mindfulness, meditation, and gratitude literally rewires the nervous system, promoting cellular repair and slowing biological aging. She emphasizes the importance of emotional literacy, the ability to recognize, express, and process emotions. Suppressed anger, anxiety, or grief is not only felt in the mind but stored in the body, increasing wear on organs and shortening lifespan. Conversely, expressing emotion constructively, seeking support, and fostering resilience strengthens both mind and body. Dr. Voss also highlights anti-inflammatory living, noting that chronic inflammation is a hidden enemy of longevity. Diet, movement, sleep, and social connection all converge to reduce inflammation naturally. Turmeric, leafy greens, omega-3s, moderate exercise, and laughter are not just lifestyle choices, they are cellular defenses. Her insight is clear: longevity is cultivated by emotional balance, not mere physical maintenance. The happiest, longest-lived people are not those without problems, but those who approach life's challenges with calm, clarity, and connection. She concludes this section with a guiding principle: heal your mind, calm your heart, and your body will follow. Longevity is born where peace and biology meet. Dr. Voss concludes the core section by showing how all elements of longevity, biology, nutrition, movement, purpose, relationships, mindset, and rest interconnect to form a holistic lifestyle. She calls it the longevity matrix, where each pillar supports the others. Nutrition fuels the body, movement strengthens it, relationships sustain it, and purpose guides it. Without harmony, even one neglected pillar weakens the entire system. She emphasizes daily integration over perfection. Longevity is not achieved through extreme diets or rigorous regimens. It thrives in small, consistent actions that align body, mind, and soul. Morning walks, mindful meals, gratitude journals, laughter with friends, and restful sleep. These everyday rituals become invisible scaffolding for long life. Dr. Voss also highlights the feedback loop between science and art. Biological improvements reinforce emotional well-being, which in turn motivates better lifestyle choices. Cells respond to happiness, hope, and engagement just as surely as they respond to nutrients and exercise. She ends this core chapter with a resonant insight. To live longer is not to escape death, but to embrace life in its fullest rhythm. Every choice is a brushstroke, every day a canvas, and every moment a chance to renew yourself. Dr. Voss emphasizes the interplay between hormones and longevity, explaining how endocrine balance dictates the pace of aging. Hormones like insulin, growth hormone, cortisol, and melatonin orchestrate metabolism, repair, and sleep. Imbalances accelerate cellular decay, while proper regulation preserves vitality. She highlights that lifestyle choices, stress management, diet, exercise, and sleep directly influence hormonal harmony. For instance, intermittent fasting and nutrient timing improve insulin sensitivity, while consistent sleep reinforces melatonin rhythms, aiding cellular repair and neuroprotection. She also explores the role of autophagy, the body's natural recycling process, where damaged cells are broken down and reused. Autophagy slows with age, but fasting, caloric moderation, and certain plant compounds reactivate it. Voss describes it as a daily cellular spring cleaning, essential for preventing disease and sustaining energy. The book also details cardiovascular longevity, showing that heart health is the foundation for extended life. Daily movement, stress reduction, and anti-inflammatory diets support arterial flexibility, circulation, and oxygenation, reducing the risk of heart disease, stroke, and organ decline. She writes that a resilient heart is not just a pump, it is a longevity engine. Finally, Voss introduces neuroprotection, explaining how the brain governs both lifespan and life quality. Cognitive stimulation, social engagement, and emotional expression maintain neuroplasticity, while chronic stress, isolation, and inactivity erode it. A well-nurtured mind strengthens the body through hormonal balance, immune modulation, and behavioral motivation, creating a feedback loop that sustains youthfulness. Dr. Voss delves deeper into blue zones, using real life stories to illustrate longevity in action. In Okinawa, she meets Kazuko, a 102-year-old woman who gardens daily, drinks green tea, and meditates with neighbors. Kazuko attributes her vitality not to medicine but to connection, movement, and purpose, rising each day to care for family and community. Her story highlights the human ability to thrive through social cohesion and meaningful routine. In Sardinia, she encounters Giovanni, a shepherd in his late 90s, whose life of daily walking, simple meals, and laughter with friends illustrates the power of motion and joy. Giovanni's longevity is not isolated, it is communal. Villages there nurture elders with respect, shared responsibilities, and emotional engagement, showing that lifespan is tightly linked to culture and environment. Dr. Voss also examines Nicoya, Costa Rica, where centenarians follow diets rich in beans, corn, and tropical fruits, combined with strong family ties and daily physical activity. She emphasizes that longevity is rarely a result of a single habit, but of a synergistic lifestyle where diet, movement, social bonds, and mental resilience reinforce each other. She contrasts these long-lived communities with modern urban environments, noting how stress, isolation, processed foods, and sedentary lifestyles erode lifespan. Through these vivid examples, she demonstrates that science and story converge. Our biology responds not just to molecules, but to meaning, rhythm, and culture. Dr. Voss emphasizes that mindset and resilience are as vital to longevity as diet or exercise. She explains that how we perceive challenges shapes our biological response. Chronic worry and negativity elevate stress hormones, accelerate cellular aging, and suppress immunity, while optimism, adaptability, and purpose reduce inflammation and stimulate repair processes. She introduces the concept of adaptive resilience, the ability to respond to adversity with flexibility rather than rigidity. For example, centenarians she studied often face losses, illness, and hardship but maintain calm and humor. Their mindset transforms stress into growth, signaling the body to sustain rather than degrade itself. Voss also highlights mental rehearsal and visualization. Positive imagery, mindfulness, and meditative reflection influence the nervous system and cellular behavior. The brain, she writes, cannot distinguish between practiced success and actual experience, meaning hopeful, engaged thinking literally rewires pathways that promote vitality. Finally, she stresses that purpose-driven adaptation fosters longevity. Challenges are not obstacles but catalysts for maintaining function, engagement, and emotional balance. The combination of growth-oriented thinking, calm acceptance, and goal-driven activity creates a feedback loop, reinforcing physical health, mental sharpness, and emotional equilibrium. Dr. Voss explores the synergy of daily rituals, showing how small, consistent actions compound over time to produce profound longevity benefits. She emphasizes that it's not dramatic interventions but subtle, repeated choices that preserve health. Morning sunlight, mindful eating, short walks, and brief moments of reflection combine to create a rhythm that aligns body, mind, and spirit. She introduces the concept of micro-habits, tiny practices that seem insignificant individually but collectively shape biology. For example, drinking water upon waking, stretching for 5 minutes, or expressing gratitude daily can influence hormonal balance, reduce stress, and improve cellular repair. Longevity, she notes, is the sum of these deliberate acts. Voss also highlights the importance of sequencing. Rest and recovery are not afterthoughts, they are integrated with movement, nutrition, and social engagement to maximize impact. The timing of meals, exercise, and sleep synchronizes with circadian rhythms, boosting metabolism, immunity, and cognitive function. Finally, she underscores intention. Every act, no matter how small, carries energy. Eating with mindfulness, walking with purpose, and engaging fully with others sends biochemical signals that support health and longevity. In her words, it is not only what you do, but how you do it that determines the life you lead. Dr. Voss emphasizes that emotional intelligence and compassion are central to lasting health. She notes that individuals who understand and regulate their emotions, empathize with others, and foster trust experience lower stress, healthier hormones, and stronger immune responses. The ability to navigate social complexity, forgive, and maintain harmonious relationships directly influences lifespan. She presents case studies of centenarians who prioritize community, family, and contribution. In Sardinia, elders are revered not just for age, but for guidance, storytelling, and caregiving. Their daily involvement in meaningful social roles strengthens both brain function and physiological resilience. Social engagement, she observes, acts as a natural antidepressant and longevity enhancer. Voss also explores the ripple effect of kindness. Acts of generosity and empathy release oxytocin, reduce blood pressure, and enhance cellular repair. Living with purpose, not just for oneself but for others, activates neurochemical pathways that reinforce vitality. Longevity, she writes, is nurtured in the heart as much as in the cells. She concludes that emotional depth, empathy, and social bonds are not optional, they are biological necessities. The healthiest, longest-lived people are those who cultivate love, trust, and belonging, creating a network of support that sustains them mentally, emotionally, and physically. Dr. Voss explores spirituality and mindfulness as powerful, often overlooked pillars of longevity. She explains that cultivating inner peace, whether through meditation, prayer, or reflective practices, reduces stress hormones, lowers inflammation, and promotes cellular repair. Spiritual engagement provides a sense of purpose, helping individuals navigate life's challenges with calm and clarity. She highlights studies showing that individuals who practice mindful awareness experience slower cognitive decline, healthier cardiovascular systems, and improved immune function. The act of being present, focusing fully on a task, a person, or a moment, resonates deeply with biology, synchronizing the nervous system and allowing the body to repair itself. Voss also notes the importance of ritual and reflection. Daily pauses to breathe, meditate, or express gratitude create rhythm in life that supports longevity. These practices not only ease stress, but enhance emotional regulation and resilience. They cultivate a profound sense of alignment between mind and body, which she describes as the quiet architecture of long life. Her key insight, to live long is to live deeply. Spiritual nourishment is as vital as nutrition, exercise, and sleep. Inner peace protects the body, sharpens the mind, and extends the heart's capacity for life. Dr. Voss addresses modern challenges to longevity, highlighting how technology, urbanization, and fast-paced lifestyles disrupt natural rhythms. Excessive screen time, artificial lighting, and sedentary habits impair sleep, elevate stress, and reduce physical activity. She stresses that without conscious adaptation, modern convenience can shorten lifespan despite advances in medicine. She presents practical strategies for integrating longevity principles into contemporary life. Scheduling outdoor activity, limiting processed foods, and maintaining social bonds counteract the isolating effects of urban living. Mindful breaks, digital detoxes, and intentional rest restore circadian alignment and cellular repair. Dr. Voss also examines biohacking and science-based interventions, from wearable devices monitoring sleep and heart rate to intermittent fasting and nutraceuticals. But she emphasizes balance. Technology can enhance longevity if it supports, rather than replaces, fundamental lifestyle habits. Real longevity emerges from consistent, small daily actions combined with intentional reflection and purpose. She reminds readers that longevity is not about extremes or quick fixes. It is the integration of ancient wisdom and modern science, applied consistently with mindfulness and intention. As she notes, in a world obsessed with speed, the art of slow, deliberate living is the ultimate longevity hack. Dr. Voss concludes the course section by synthesizing all principles into a cohesive blueprint for longevity. She calls it the longevity lifestyle, where every action, movement, nutrition, sleep, mindset, social connection, and spiritual practice interconnects to reinforce the body, mind, and soul. Each pillar supports the others, creating a resilient system capable of thriving even amid modern stressors. She emphasizes habit stacking, where small rituals compound to produce large effects. Morning sunlight exposure, a nutrient-dense breakfast, brief exercise, social interaction, and mindfulness practice together form a daily framework that maintains energy, health, and cellular repair. Over time, these consistent routines shape biological age, not just chronological age. Dr. Voss also underscores personalization. Longevity strategies are not one size fits all. Each individual must tune habits to their biology, environment, and purpose. Observing how the body responds to diet, movement, and emotional experiences allows for adjustment and optimization. Her final insight: longevity is not a destination, but a practice. Science teaches us the mechanics, art teaches us the meaning, and together they reveal a life fully lived. Choose actions that honor your body, mind, and heart, and time itself becomes your ally. The science and art of longevity reveals that a purpose fuels longevity. A life with meaning extends both years and joy. A daily movement is medicine. Even gentle activity strengthens body and mind. A nutrition is dialogue. Whole, plant-based foods speak to your cells. A sleep is sacred. Deep rest repairs body, mind, and spirit. The emotional balance protects. Stress accelerates aging while calm heals. A social connection heals. Meaningful relationships extend lifespan. A gratitude rewires the brain. Positivity slows cellular decline. A lifelong learning keeps the mind young and adaptable. A lauder is a natural anti-inflammatory and longevity booster. A small, consistent rituals matter more than extreme actions. A mindset shapes biology. Optimism strengthens immunity and resilience. Nature restores sunlight, fresh air, and green spaces rejuvenate cells. Acceptance reduces stress. Resisting life accelerates aging. Purposeful challenges promote neurogenesis and mental sharpness. Every choice is a vote for or against your future health. The keenness and empathy produce biological benefits for the giver. Moderation in all things preserves energy and longevity. Avoid isolation. Community and belonging are vital for survival. Mindful eating enhances digestion, absorption, and satisfaction. Consistency in healthy habits outweighs occasional perfection. Now that you've glimpsed the secrets of living longer and better, it's time to act. Start small, move a little more, eat with awareness, nurture relationships, and embrace purpose daily. Share this knowledge, inspire others, and commit to honoring your body and mind. Your journey toward a longer, fuller life begins today.